to my YouTube channel. Do you know you can actually use channels and mutex wrongly? Yeah, I know we have been talking about Go routines, we have been talking about concurrency, what makes Go faster, and what makes Go the go-to language, right? We're talking about concurrency, we've talked about weight group, mutex, and channels. Well, we've talked about what they help prevent, which is race conditions, right? So now the question is that, are these the right tools, or when should you use which one? When should you be using a channel? When should you be using a mutex, right? And I'm going to tell you, we have been using it wrongly, both channels and mutex. There's another one called atomic, right? In atomic, we are dealing mainly with primitive type. For a simple code like this that we are just ranging through one, we are just ranging 1000 times and increasing a counter, we should be using atomic. It's faster and it's also safe. So we're going to go into the code, refactor this code, and then we can compare, right? So here we go. Here we go. So we just copy this. We're going to call this with atomic, right? With atomic. We don't need this mutex anymore, so we can just take out this mutex. So let's just take all this out here. So what are we going to do? So with atomic, just make sure we have everything set up. So this is our setup for atomic. So what are we going to do? We're just going to call the package atomic dot add. So what this means is that it's adding to the pointer of counter, right? Now you can see that this is int 32, so we're going to have to rewrite our counter to int 32 or whatever int that we choose to work with, right? So we're just adding one, right? So now let's do, for context, we have int 32, int 64, uint, you choose any one you want, but I'm going to stick to int 32. So I'm going to do var counts int 32, right? That's equals to 0. So this is it, and we are good to go. So let's run this code and then we go into explanation, right? So we are going to call with atomic, and that's all. Then go run main.go. See, we're still having our 1000, and then we still have 605, is it microseconds? But now let's compare it with mutex, right? With mutex, and see what we have with mutex. So let's take this out first. Let's see what we have with mutex. You can see that with mutex is 700, and we're having 702 microseconds, right? But now let's go a step further and see what we have with channels. Right? And then with channel, we know we're going to have to sleep for 1 second, so there's really no need to check it out. So now, when do you use switch? When do you use switch? For simple counter like this, they were just incrementing counters. For a simple incrementing counter, we can use atomic, right? Because it works with numeric value pointers, right? As you can see, we're calling the pointer to this int, to the counter, right? So it's working on the CPU directly. It's also it's lock free. What that means is that for mutex, as we know, for mutex, you need to lock a resource and unlock a resource. So the time taken to lock and unlock, this atomic doesn't have that issue. It doesn't have that issue, so it avoids overhead. So it avoids the overhead of channel and mutex. It's just simply safe for counters, right? So the question is, when should we be using atomic? When should we be using counter atomic? When should we be using mutex? And when should we be using channels? So for atomic, sorry, let me put this. For atomic, if I can get this right, yeah. So when should we be using it? So for atomic, For atomic, we should be using atomic when like there is a shared counter, right? Like what we just have here. That's like the best case scenario for it. You're just updating a counter. There's really nothing there. But then, when when should we be using a mutex, right? We should be using mutex when you have like multiple fields, multiple multiple fields, right? To protect. You have multiple fields to protect. Example, maybe you are working on this, or you are working on a field that you want to do a withdrawal, or you want to withdraw a balance, you want to minus a balance, then set a withdrawal plus plus, so to keep count of the withdrawal. So you will need to lock it, in such a way that it finishes the withdrawal of balance before it increments the withdrawal, right? Or you're having different resources coming from different places trying to get access to one resources. And then, so there are ways in which you use mutex. And then when you want to use channels, you should keep in mind that channels, you should be thinking of communication, right? Communication. So if you're talking about, if anytime you think about channel, think about communication, how to communicate between one or two go routines. You're trying to send message, pipelines, and stuff like that, right? So that those are the best case example on how to use each of them. Like I said, for a simple counter like this, we should be sticking to atomic.